Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about UV-DTF, but before we get started, be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks to applying UV-DTF to lots of different surfaces, as well as giving you some ideas on ways that you can use this awesome new product. I order all of mine from 143 Vinyl, which you can find linked in the video's description down below. And make sure you use code Corinne anytime you order with them to save 5%. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to show you our UV-DTF gang sheet with all of our designs on it. Now we did two different gang sheets, but they do just send it as one, which is totally fine. We've got so many great colorful designs on this. This was one sheet, so this sheet ends right here where these like glitter rectangles are. But then I ordered another one because I want to make the garden flag. Now, I will say that I made a mistake and I measured incorrectly for my garden flag and my DTF design. But what I'm going to do is show you how we can take this gorgeous design that's right here and still fit it onto the garden flag. These butterflies were extra ones, but this is all part of that design. But we're going to cut it up a little bit so that we can make it fit. And then I've got a bunch of other ways that we can use our designs in our daily life, or to make things to sell, or to make things in just general. So I'm really excited to show you how we're going to work with all these different UV-DTF products. Before we get started, I always want to remind you to cut this top section off. It's going to have the information for your order, usually the 143 logo, and then this kind of like dotted line. Before I ever do anything with these, I cut this off just so that I don't forget to, and that way I don't end up with like any of these black lines on my designs anywhere, because we definitely don't want that. Now I have a bunch of different things that we're going to do with our UV-DTF gang sheet, and I'm going to show you my different ideas on ways that you can use UV-DTF. Now I'm going to cut this down so that I can work with just the butterflies separately from the rest of the sheet, because these are all for one design. So I'm going to go ahead and put this sheet over to the side. You can roll these. Don't roll them real tight, but you can roll them up for storage. Typically what I will do is anything that I'm not using like that day, or I'm not going to use for a little while, I will cut them into the size of their decal and put them away into a bin for safekeeping. The first tip I want to share with you when doing DTF prints is to make sure that you measure correctly before you order. I didn't on this one, and that's okay. And my next tip is to make sure when you cut these that you cut pretty close to your design so that you don't have nearly as much of the sticky paper to work with. Now you're going to peel off your backing for this, and I did this all the way and then I decided maybe I didn't want to do it that way, so I put it back on, and I'm going to use sort of a hinge method idea with this where I just place part of it down onto the flag where I wanted it, and then I gently press it down as I remove the backing. Now, with certain products, with your blanks, you may need to let the UV-DTF sit on there for a little while before you peel, and you want to make sure you press it down. I just use my finger on them, but what you'll see here is that it's not sticking to the flag very well at all. This is like a vinyl material, and usually vinyl sticks to the vinyl pretty well, but the DTF may need to sit for a little bit. So what I like to do is I'm just going to make sure to press it down really well with my hand. I don't usually use a squeegee for this, and I'm going to let this sit for a while and get ready to be removed. I let this sit for about an hour, hour and a half, and look how much easier it's coming up. It peels off really, really easy now. And what's kind of neat about this is you'll see how I can stick my hand under the transfer paper there. That's because there is nothing adhesive sticking. Now, this was a bit of a big project to work with, so I pulled off some of the adhesive that I already taken off so I could work with the smaller piece with the butterflies. Since they had really little details, I wanted to make sure I had a little more control and could go really slow. Now I'm going to add some extra butterflies to this, so I added these in and then I again just let them sit. I didn't think you needed to see me peel everything off again. I let them sit for about 2 hours for this one, and it worked like a charm, especially with these little pieces. Look how great this came out. Now I do have a little spot where I made a mistake, but that's okay. Nobody else will notice. I just had a little bit of the other transfer on top of it, and when I pulled it, it did peel off that little piece of my jar. But I think it's gorgeous. With back to school coming up, this one's really fun. It's a great way to decorate. Now, I actually am repurposing this notebook. I peeled some vinyl off of it, and I didn't like the design. So I'm going to use these adorable little pencil designs, and you'll find all of the designs that I used linked down below if you want to grab any of them. But you can put this one any direction you want, which I kind of love about it. And you just press it down, again, with your finger. Works fine for these. Especially on like a softer surface. I don't like to press them down too hard because I do find that sometimes the adhesive from the like carrier sheet or that transfer sheet can stick a little bit hard. Now this one you do want to take your time with. I didn't let this one sit because the material. So depending on what material you're putting it on, sometimes letting it sit helps, and other times you just don't need to. So when working with DTF, you just want to kind of get used to it, play around with it, and realize that it might not come out perfect your first few times applying, and you'll see that coming up in a little minute. The cover on this is more of like a faux leather fabric type, so it worked really well. It didn't stick too much, but it stuck just enough, and I think it looks really, really cute. Now this is where you're going to see my impatience really screw me over with this design. I absolutely love this. I think the design is so cute, and using it as like a piece of art in your house is a great way that you can use DTF prints. These are actually really good too if you're doing like a signature drink sign for a wedding. But the one thing I want to caution you on is to allow this to sit. It seems that with glass, allowing this to sit for a minute or two or even like an hour makes a huge difference. I didn't let it sit, and you can see I'm struggling to keep pieces down, and pretty soon you're gonna see a real struggle because again, my impatience won over, and I thought, oh, I'll be fine. I can get this off. Let it sit. These thinner lines do tend to need to sit a little longer, and that's totally okay. But what happens is if it doesn't sit, sometimes it won't come off the like transfer sheet, and especially with these thin little letters, you can see it's lifting, and then eventually you'll just see I give up on it, and I say, I'll just peel them off later, and I can just put vinyl on it instead, which I could totally do, or I could just leave it off. But if you're doing something that has like intricate small lines, I would recommend just letting it sit for a little bit, and then you won't have this mess like I do. It's still really cute. The colors are super bright, and like I said, this is a great way to do like a full color piece of artwork onto a frame. These Dollar Tree pillar candles are super cute, and I love using them for like holiday decor. So I thought, what about making a tarot card one? And then I actually am going to probably make like a whole set of these, but you can see how easy it is. It wanted to stick really well to this after I let it sit for a moment or two, and I think it did a really good job. Now, if you have a corner that doesn't want to stick, just like when you're doing vinyl, try a different corner and see if you can get it to come off that way. And a lot of times that'll work too. But look how cute it is. This came out really good. The color is so vibrant, and these DTF prints are super simple. This is just a Dollar Tree candle that I upcycled, and look at how cool it looks. These would sell really well too, I think, at a pretty good markup. Now, I did just do a video all about branding with DTF for fabrics, and I'll probably do like more of a full video on this, but you can brand your products with UV-DTF as well. So you can put a little label on like the bottom of your cups, on the bottom of your tumblers. You can put these on lots and lots of different things. That way people know where they bought the product from, or, you know, if you have any like care instructions, this is a great way to add it. Now, I added it to a sublimation mug, but I think it worked really well with this UV-DTF. So you could put it on a UV-DTF mug. You could even put this on one that maybe you put vinyl on or something, but I think this is a great way to add those care instructions. I feel like acrylic blanks can be so many things, whether it's ornaments, this is coasters, but you could do keychains. There are so many things you can do with acrylic blanks, so I kind of just did these as like one big category, but they are so simple and so fast. So you can see I apply the decal on the panda one, and I let it sit over to the side while I get the other one ready, because again, it seems to help to just let them sit a little bit. Another thing that I want you to be aware of when using UV-DTF is that using a squeegee is not always great, but a lot of times when you have like really little details, I will use a squeegee on them. But again, you're gonna probably mess a few up, you're gonna rip a couple, and that's okay. It happens. You just have to figure out what way works best for you. I love how these came out, and what's great about these, they are waterproof and they don't fade under like sunlight. You can wash them. You can do just about anything with them, and they're going to hold up really, really well. These are super duper durable. Now, like I said, acrylic blanks can mean lots of things, so let your imagination run wild with how you want to do these. These could be really fun on top of like a glitter as well, so just have fun with this. And I was just thinking how fun baby milestones would be with these, because you can make them super bright and colorful. Full cup wraps are so much easier with a UV-DTF. You don't have to layer, you don't have to weed, you don't have to do any of that type of stuff. Now when I'm doing this, I have a little bit of an overlap where the transfer tape is, or like the carrier sheet. So I needed to peel that back a little bit, and because I couldn't let it sit, I did have a little struggle getting the like UV-DTF image to stay down, but once I got that down and to stay down, I was able to peel that back enough that I could lay the other half down of my decal, because you want to make sure that nothing gets stuck under anything else, just like when you would do this with vinyl. Now again, I did let this sit. I let this sit for a couple of hours while I did some other things, and then I was able to peel this off so much easier, but I did have a few spots that wanted to rip. If that happens, you can just kind of pick at them and then they'll come off. It's not the decal that's ripping, it's the transfer tape or the carrier sheet that wanted to kind of tear a little bit, but it came off really easy other than that. And I think this is so cute and so colorful. What I love about these is they are that full color. And again, these are going to be super duper durable. They're going to outlast the cup. You'll probably break the cup before your decal goes bad or comes off of your cup. I love the little pumpkins. They're so cute. Now let's say you don't want to do a full wrap. That's totally okay. You can just put one single decal onto your cup. It takes so much less time than using a vinyl layering or like a printable vinyl, and it's much more durable. So again, like with this, on this plastic, it stayed perfectly fine. I find that like on acrylic, for the most part, it does stick pretty well right off the bat, but glass, especially if the glass is a little bit cold or cool, it doesn't like to stick right away, so letting it sit for a second helps. But you can see I did this one all in one fell swoop and nothing came off. It was perfect. And look at how bright and colorful this little panda is on here, and you can see every like little detail, all of the shading, and it's so darn easy and so inexpensive. I am not a pen wrap expert. However, I was able to wrap this pen pretty well for a first try. Now, I just used like a Bic crystal pen was what I had, but these UV-DTF wraps are great for this type of a thing because they're super durable. So when somebody's using them and holding them and their hands are touching it all the time, these are gonna hold up against that a lot better than like a printable vinyl would or a sticker paper would. And if they get wet and things like that, they're gonna hold up really, really well. Now, like I said, I'm not an expert. It's not perfect, but for my first try, I think it came out pretty good. The colors are great on it, and it's like a faux glitter look, and I think it was easy. Now this one, it's super important that you pre-clean this with alcohol because it's been outside. So I wiped it down a couple of times with some alcohol, and I'm sorry my camera fogged up. But all I'm doing is applying this like I would any other type of vinyl decal. So I'm just pressing it down with my squeegee to make sure I don't get any bubbles, and then I want to give it a really good burnish. I also did this in the sun, which I found helps. Like I said before, that cold glass doesn't seem to stick as well. But this stuck really, really well to my warmed up glass, and look at how bright and vibrant the colors are on it. This is such a great way to decorate your car. Now that I've shown you lots of different ways to use UV-DTF, I hope that it has opened up some doors to you on ways that you can make it work into your crafting or your business. I really love UV-DTF, but remember, it does take a little bit of practice to get it right, and I still struggle sometimes, and it's okay if you make mistakes. I always recommend if you're selling something, order two until you're really, really good at applying it, and that way you know you're set if something bad happens. And again, I order all of mine at 143 Vinyl, linked down below, and use code Corinne to save that 5%. If you have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure you're subscribed here, that way you don't miss out on any of our fun videos. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.